Day 13 of the federal government shutdown, and here's where we're sitting right now. Among the closures in place today are the Smithsonian Museums, the research centers, and the National Zoo. Over the weekend, funding ran out for the essential air services. These support airlines that carry cargo into rural areas. No action on Capitol Hill today. The U.S. House is back in session by tomorrow. Thousands of government workers across multiple agencies have now been fired, not furloughed, but fired, and what the White House calls substantial reductions in force. This marks the first time in modern history that a government shutdown has triggered permanent firings, sparking legal challenges and fears of hollowed out federal workforce. The White House confirms more than 4,000 federal employees have already been terminated, not furloughed, across at least 7 major agencies from Treasury to Housing and Urban Development. The Department of Housing and Human Services have seen over 1,100 layoffs. Many in the Atlanta metro area has been the Atlanta-based CDC, where critical disease and surveillance and global health programs have now been dismantled. Here to help us get a sense of all of this is William Resh. He is the professor of public management and policy at Georgia State University. William, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, talk to us about when the White House describes these as reductions in force. What does that actually mean?
Well, it means they're being laid off, permanently laid off, which is different than past furloughs. Furloughs typically mean that they will be temporarily laid off, but they would be guaranteed back pay. But in the meantime, the president has taken it upon himself to go through with permanent firings, which is, at least on its face, seems to be in violation of the Anti-Deficiency Act, which makes sure that federal workers are protected, but also that the president isn't using funds such as HR, human resources, to lay off employees, using those funds in a way that isn't appropriated.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've studied federal workforce dynamics for years now, and what does this say about how an administration is using its executive authority?
Well, this is unprecedented in many respects, but I will say that regardless, shutdowns tend to have pretty substantial impacts, negative impacts on agencies, particularly those that suffer the most furloughs. Our research in the past has shown an increase in overall voluntary separations. That is, employees leaving by their own devices as a function of the instability that shutdowns present to the federal workforce. And so federal employees, substantially those who are most ready to enter jobs otherwise in the labor market, are likely to leave due to the instability that shutdowns create.
You know, we've seen entire divisions like the CDC's disease surveillance suddenly lose their staff. What are the immediate operational risks here when this happens?
Well, you're seeing delayed implementation. You'll see delayed response to legislation. That is what employees are supposed to be doing normally. They have to pick up and make up for the time that they've lost during shutdowns. But even essential functions like disease surveillance and emergency response, those staff face challenges and operational disruptions. The CDC headquarters is going to see reduced capacity at precisely the times that public health vigilance matters most. Fort Eisenhower, other military installations here in the area, the military personnel remain on duty, but civilian support staff are being furloughed, and that degrades operational readiness and support services for these agencies.
Yeah. Could Congress intervene here, or are these layoffs effectively beyond legislative reach once the notice has been issued?
Well, Congress has to agree on appropriations. That is the power of the purse of Congress. But with that power comes the obligation for appropriations to pass in order for agency operations to go through. And so the only way for Congress to intervene is to agree to stop the shutdown, that is, to agree on passing appropriations for these agencies.
Yeah. Could this trigger also a loss in institutional knowledge or create a long-term brain drain kind of in key areas of public service?
Yeah, absolutely. As I indicated earlier, the people that are most likely to leave, even on their own accord, are those who have the high skill base, those who are most marketable on the general labor market. And so those employees, particularly in places like the healthcare sector, where there are private options, as well as, scientists, those who are most highly professionalized across different occupations. These are the people who are most marketable to other private sector institutions, other public sector institutions at the state level, or nonprofit organizations. And, government as an employer, the Federal Salary Council back in 2024 showed that the most highly professionalized federal workers are underpaid on an average of 25% compared to their private counterparts. And so that is a substantial subsidy that our public servants pay to us.
Yeah.
And that subsidy is made up in terms of benefits of stability, in terms of the benefits of the intrinsic value of the work. But when those two things are compromised, it's very difficult for the federal government to retain that top talent. And so we see a brain drain, we see institutional knowledge lost.
Yeah.
In terms of regulatory capacity, in terms of understanding, how policy is implemented.
All right. William Resh, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate your insight.
Thank you very much.
All right. We're back right after this.